Hello, my name is mudiwa Kari, Nyazema, student number 105-27829, and today I'll be demonstrating my formative assignment for programming, which is a user registration and login system created using Java. To start off with my main class, I use the scanner object, which allows the user to be prompted 3 times in console to enter their username, password, and phone number. I then created a object of my class so that I'm able to call in methods I use on in the code, such as register user and login user. So this part of the code can be considered the registration part of the code, where the user is asked to enter the username, password, and phone number for the first time. If these 3 match the criteria that I will explain later on in the code, then the user is moved on to the login process of the code, which asks the user to log in, then asks them to enter their username and password, and if successful, the user is then displayed a message using a boolean here. Depending on whether they successfully logged in or if they fail to log in, they get a different result. The first method we use in this application is check username, which is used to ensure that the username contains an underscore and is no more than 5 characters. The next method used is check password complexity, which ensures that the password is 8 characters, has a capital letter, a digit, and a special character. As far as the password length, you can see the method I used here, but to ensure that the other criteria was met, I used a regular expression or a regex that I sourced from Stack Overflow. The next method I use is check cell phone number, which ensures that the cell phone number is 12 digits and starts with an international code +27. Here again, I used another regex source from Stack Overflow. I want to explain that the reason that the cell phone number specifically is 12 digits is because if we put the +27 requirement, the user then only has to enter 9 digits of their phone number after that. So making sure it's 12 digits ensures that the +27 is there and the 9 digits required for the phone number. I think it's smart in a case where the user wouldn't enter the 0, because that's a common mistake that users can make, entering the 0 part of their phone number, which is invalid in this case. Then we want to move on to the register user method. This method specifically combines all the other methods: check username, check password complexity, and check phone number, and ensure that the user gets a return message depending on which formatting they failed. So if the user didn't meet the criteria for username when they were entering the username, they get a return message which is username is not correctly formatted. Please ensure that username contains an underscore and there's no more than 5 characters in there. Same applies for password. If the method check password complexity fails and the user didn't enter the password with the correct criteria being 8 characters, a capital letter, a digit, and a special character, the user would get the message password is not correctly formatted. Same thing with the cell phone number. If all these methods come back true, meaning that the user would have entered with the correct formatting, the username would get the success message, username successfully captured, which ensures that the user can then move into the login part of the section, which here we use the method login user. Login user simply checks that the next details that the user enters around the second prompt all match the details they would have entered right here in the registration period. So what login user does, it ensures that basically this equals this. So, assuming that the user got through all the method checks and the complexity checks of the password, the phone number, and the username, they are now asked to enter those details again to log in. Once they enter those details and the system ensures that the login details match the register details, the user is then receives an output message depending on whether they have logged in or not. Here we use the method return login status. So if the user is successful in entering their login details, they get the return message, welcome user, it is great to see you again. Otherwise, they get the return message, username or password is incorrect, please try again. Now I would like to demonstrate the actual code as it runs. I'll be using test data from the assignment itself to show users what happens when we use correctly formatted values. So there we enter the username onto the password. And then we enter the phone. Okay. As you can see, this is what happens when the user successfully enters a username, password, and phone number, which are all correctly formatted. The user gets the message username successfully captured, meaning that they have registered and are now able to log in. So if we copy the username, enter, copy the password, enter. There we go. Welcome user, it is great to see you again. This is the case when a user has entered all details with all correct formatting. Now I'll be demonstrating